I, I know there's exceptions. I know charter schools, some of them do great, and so does public schools. So, but what about the national research that shows overall that lots of charter schools don't do any better than public schools, or does even worse?
We've just completed a study, a mathematical study on KIPP schools at Princeton University, and they looked at 22 KIPP schools in 22 different cities, and they concluded that where KIPP is involved, the kids are showing significant results, even if they only attended KIPP schools for 1 or 2 years. And so I don't know about the national study. I actually know that we police our own schools. And so since I've been at KIPP, we closed 5 schools. And so if you don't produce results after a time period, the kids are coming to you below grade level. If you don't do something in maybe 4 or 5 years, you may have to close your own schools. But we do close our own schools. But I do see the research, but I do know there are good charter schools and there are poor charter schools, and the poor charter schools should probably be closed, no different from the regular schools. Where I'm coming from, the schools that my kids are coming from, they've been bad for 30 years. And so I'm just happy to be in the neighborhood and say, hey, you know what, we can do a tipping point, and hopefully we can light some fires that we all can do a better job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Rollins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How are students selected to go to the KIPP school?
KIPP is open, free public education. We send a letter out to every student in the city of Oklahoma, every 4th grader, every 5th grader, and then we actually maybe advertise in the papers and things like that. So the kids apply, and then the only commitment that we ask them to do is just say, I'm going to commit, to the longest school day, the time, the homework. But like I said before, the parents sign that commitment too, as well as the teachers. But no one wants to follow those rules until we actually try to teach them. But really, there's no selective criteria. It's not like a magnet school, anything like that. And so just open public enrollment.
What happens to the students if the parents can't live up to the commitment?
We work with the parents almost on everything. I get that question quite a bit, especially from the school district. They say, Tracy, you do kick out kids. I say, well, let's look at the data. I said, if you look at the data of Oklahoma City Public Schools, they kick out far more kids than I can even possibly imagine. So, because they have alternative schools. And so we do put out some, but not many. Other than a weapon or something like that, we don't put out many kids at all compared to Oklahoma City Public Schools. So what we try to do is work with the parents. So I say what we do differently than I did as a regular school principal. I have more parent conferences. And so we'll get a parent down. If there's a concern, a meeting concern, we're going to stop what we do, engage the parent, teach them about the data. We use a lot of data too. Parents not familiar with data, and so we try to engage the parents. So in some cases, some of my most problematic kids this past year, I probably had 30 parent conferences between me and my vice principal and some of the teachers. So we kind of work with them quite a bit. It takes a long time for these kids to turn around. Some of them do leave, and that's unfortunate. We have more probably leave than we probably put out, but it's just a commitment. And I'm telling the parents in my community, you guys understand this commitment in sports, and you understand this commitment in entertainment. We're no different. I mean, I'm leaving the school. I mean, you got a parent saying, you know what, I can't do 2 hours of homework, and they're on the football field, and the coaches have the car lights on because it's dark outside. So that's the commitment, and they do very well, and they win championships. And we're the same in the education setting. So, but when you compare us to the district probably puts out maybe twice as many kids as we do.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 more questions if I could. Again, you talked about the teachers. You pay about $10,000 more than the public schools do. My understanding of charter schools is the public money follows the student. And where do you get the other $10,000?
We fundraise for the overtime, and so we get supporters from all walks of life. Even Oklahoma City Industries try to get some national grants as well. But we definitely have to fundraise because we don't get the money from the state for the overtime, for the Saturday schools and for the Sunday school. So we pay them approximately a couple hours a day extra per school day.
And out of your 280 students, how many students have special needs?
We have approximately 10% this school year.
Is that about what the public schools have too?
Not normal. We have some public, overall, Oklahoma City, maybe about 13%. But the different schools, some schools may have, like the highest performing schools in Oklahoma City, maybe 4 or 5%. Some of the lowest performing schools in Oklahoma City, maybe 25, 30%. So it all depends on which school too. But as far as the district, maybe 13, 14%.
Okay, thank you.
Before I go on, let me continue that direction just a moment. The letter that you send out to all of the appropriate grade levels and the whole district.
Right.
Do you get reactions from the other schools when you do that?
Not really, not really. And that's shocking to me. I mean, I share a building with a school, and I sent their kids a letter too, and I don't get a reaction at all, really.
Okay. Representative Flood.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. I am encouraged by your journey and your story, and especially the focus that you bring to leadership and your role, how you had to have a paradigm change as well.
Right.
I'm curious about a couple of things. The teachers that you're hiring are credentialed through and have to meet the normal state credentialing process for teachers?
The legislation and the school law in Oklahoma, for all core teachers, you must be certified. You don't if you're not a core. Our practice at KIPP, we want all certified teachers.
And I was encouraged as well by this story because you made it clear that KIPP is not dependent on charter school status, but it is a way that you went on to survive after funding started to be withdrawn when you were a county-wide school. Am I accurate in that?
Well, no, I was happy at my school. I had 50 teachers. I had 45 teachers who just not would work with me, and so it was like hitting my head against a brick. And I'm thinking, when you look at the results of it, the teacher was telling me, "You're not going to be here next year." And I'm thinking, I'll be here for a long time. I'm invested. I said, "No, you're not. You know, look at the writing on the wall." So it was I was 10 first in 15 years, and I wasn't there the next year. And even after I left, they had 3 other principals before they actually moved that school out of that building. So I was wanting to be there, but I was looking for other options for my community, and met with the superintendent and KIPP and come in. And we thought it'd be a good situation for our community, and so that's why I chose KIPP. But I wasn't looking to leave KIPP. I mean, leave the district. I was pretty happy to be back in my community because no one had written the community off, and so these kids can't learn.
That was very clear in your opening comments when you spoke. I mean, the note that I made myself is there was just a general low expectation, primarily for children of color, and that the training that you received that transformed you was instructional education, no longer a disciplinary focus.
It was instructional, but it was a full gamut. I mean, I did everything in those weeks of KIPP, even custodial work. I mean, so we did everything, but most of it was instructional, and I didn't have that as a regular principal.
And so, forgive me, I think I've confused myself.
Okay.
Let me get clear on something. I also wrote down the word backpatting. There was a lot of backpatting going on when everybody was proud, but then when the money ran out someplace, initially, I wrote down initially you were in a public school, and now you're in charter. Am I
Okay. What I said was when we started the school, the district would not let me become a charter initially. We were called a district contract school.
Got it.
And so for the first 2 years, we did that really well. And they told me they had no funding for year 3. And that's when we decided with the community, said, hey, it's not acceptable. And so the community marched down to the school board, said we're not closing the school. And so eventually we applied for a charter after that. And since we have gotten that status, we have a great relationship now with the district and the superintendent. But it was a little hostile. I mean, even the Washington Post has written a lot about our school. And you'd think, man, we get the Washington Post attention in Oklahoma City. But it was pretty amazing. I just couldn't believe they wanted to close the school.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to do about 3 more questions, and then we're going to hear from the remainder of the speakers, and then we'll come back. So beyond these 3, if you have questions, Tracy later on, we'll come back to him as well. Let me use the 4 names I have right now, and we won't take any more until the next round of questioning. Representative Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my question was partially addressed by Representative Flood, but again, and thank you, Mr. McDaniel, for your presentation. I guess the biggest question again was what would be your view, I guess, of the biggest change from your school when you said it was under the district to when you went to the charter?
I would say the power to lead. When I was a district school, the superintendent knew about KIPP, and I knew about KIPP. But everybody underneath the superintendent, they wanted me to run the school like a regular school. For example, I would go to a KIPP conference, and my director would deny the request, even though KIPP was paying for the request. And so it was just opposition, like there was just no power to lead the program. So we had a lot of opposition underneath the superintendent's office. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but and so it was just a lot of red tape, a lot of things that would actually hold me down from becoming a KIPP school. And so I think that was the biggest difference, the power to lead.
And if I could follow up, Mr. Chairman, just one more, please. Some people who would say, because I'm a high school history teacher, and there's been a lot of debate on this issue, and for some people who would say maybe the cherry picking takes place. In your district, again, you see you have open enrollment. Do you feel like that takes care of the cherry picking?
Well, I mean, that's the excuse I get all the time. It's kind of ironic because when I started school, everybody was patting me on the back, feeling sorry for me. And so when we started getting results, they said, well, you're cherry picking it. And I would say, if you look at my data, when you see that the average kid is coming to me 2 or 3 grade levels below the rating, if I was cherry picking, I'd be having kids who are above the rating. And so, no, we're not cherry picking at all, but I would say look at the data where the kids come in and go with that. But no, that's the excuse we get all the time. That's a main excuse is cherry picking, but we get the same kids. I mean, I would take every last kid in the school downstairs if I could get those kids. And I've shared it with the superintendent as well as the principal. So it's better to have a school within the same building to feed off of. But we get that statement all the time, cherry picking.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Sessions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDaniel, appreciate you being here. Some of us had the opportunity to go to Oklahoma City a couple of years ago for a conference, and I really admired your city. It was the summer before the Thunder moved to town, so a lot of excitement in the air about that. But my question is about the different groups, the different alphabet groups, the teachers associations, the school boards, the superintendents groups, the administrators groups. How did you bridge, or have you bridged a gap with them and acceptance from them in what you're doing at your school?
It was that's a great question. With the teachers union, let's start with them first. As a teacher, I was the executive board member for the teachers union, so I was well received with them because I was one of them and one of their leadership. So when I transitioned to being a regular school principal, I had a great relationship as a regular school principal with the teachers union. So when we signed on with KIPP, my statement was they patted me on the back and said, we don't think it's going to work, but good luck. And so there was no opposition, and then we did negotiate with the district that salary, that $10,000. That came from negotiation with the union because we were a district school that first year. With the school board, it was hostile. It was very hostile, and so the community helped me bridge that gap with the school board, and the school board's turned over in the last 4 or 5 years. So